Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us today in this webinar for how and what you need to know today about sports scholarships in the United States. If you, for some reason, have an issue with the audio or the video, please just let me know. And there's the little chat box, and you should be able to hear me just fine. Let me just put it on the chat box here. Okay. So I think just about now, everyone should be able to hear me. If you can't hear me, just put a little thing, but my people are telling me that the audio looks good and we are good to go. So today we're going to talk about the things that you need to know about scholarships in the United States, with all the different myths and lack of information and things that you see in the media. What we want to do today is just provide clarity on everything that you need to know. So if I'm getting a couple messages that you're unable to hear the audio. Could someone confirm to me that you can hear the audio, please? Anyone? All right, because I want to make sure that that's just for one person and not for everyone in the. So if you cannot hear the audio, please put it on the chat. Okay, perfect. So I've gotten some confirmations that you can hear the audio, which tells me that if you cannot hear the audio at this point, you just need to unmute. Also, you should be able to see me on a little screen, and as well as the graphs and the presentation that I'm passing. So if for some reason you cannot see the graphs on the screen, also let us know. But I think we're good to go. So anyway, I want to start today with basically going on in the United States, in America, so that you have clarity that despite of what is going on in different countries around the world, particularly, yes, the audience today, the UK, hello everyone out there in the UK, life is going and continuing on in the United States. So these pictures that you can see here are students in college campuses. You can see they're taking measures in the classrooms and in the different colleges and universities, so that life can go on. And for the most part, most colleges and universities have begun classes. Some of them have gone full online. Some of them are just doing some classes online. Some of them are doing just normal classes. And so I want you to see these pictures so that you get just clarity that there really is today a sense of what is somebody shared their screen. Anyway, so you should be able to see the graphs now. So anyway, so just I want you to get a visual here. And some of these pictures, they're doing continual COVID testing at the universities. People are wearing masks. Obviously, outside you can see the group of students. Now, these are all pictures that were taken recently at actual colleges and universities. They're doing social distancing. As you can see, there's people smiling and laughing and going to class and walking around campus. And mom, and dad dropping off son to campus. And so that's really one of the visuals that I want you to have today, that in reality, some of a lot of the things that you might be hearing may or may not be true, but the reality is that in the United States, colleges and universities are doing everything possible to get back to maybe not the normal that we know of, but certainly kids from the UK and from all parts of the world are coming to the United States, to America, to start their career, or to start their athletic career. So again, some more pictures. They've turned even huge conference rooms into classrooms. And so just want you to get that image in your head, that if someone has told you that life has stopped in America, and there's no sports, or there's no schools open, well, I just want you to tell you today that that's far, far, far from the truth. One of the visuals that I want you to get here is this. Are these pictures of sports happening? Why do I want you to see this? Because sports is such a huge deal for universities in the United States. And that's why most of you are here, obviously, because you would like to have an opportunity to come here to the United States and study. And in sports, they're also taking the necessary precautions. You see these stadiums that are not completely full. But the point is that sports has started. And I want to show you today what a big deal that is for you listening, and just for colleges and universities in general in the United States. These are all pictures that were taken recently of actual teams participating, stadiums using social distancing. And this is a big deal, because at one point, as many as you know, it was up in the air as to whether football would start or college programs would begin. And you can see coaches wearing masks. But the point is, and it was wonderful here in the United States to be able to go to restaurants and bars and different places and see that sports and college sports has started, because it's such a huge part of the economy, and it's such a huge part of colleges and universities. And I want to show you how big, what is the financial impact of that? Why was it so important for colleges and universities to start playing football, really? Because here's the number. These are some of the numbers, some of the stats. The University of Texas at Austin, which is basically the top school in the United States as far as revenue for their athletic program. So the athletic program of the University of Texas at Austin, through their football and through their basketball and through their merchandise and ticket sales and ESPN contracts and all sorts of different contracts, makes over $220 million a year. I mean, that is a substantial financial impact that sports have in these universities. And here you can see a list of some of the rest and some of those names you've heard of. But the point that I'm trying to show you here is that this is why it was so important, because everything else that happens as far as scholarships and as far as the opportunity for you to come here resides around America being able to actually play sports. And so these numbers basically feed everything else. And a lot of the schools, if there's no football, if there's no basketball, if there's no stadiums filled, if there's no TV, what ends up happening is a lot of the other sports will start cutting. So we are so happy that this has happened. We never thought that it wouldn't. They're taking certainly the right precautions, but this is why it's so important that sports in America today is actually back to normal somewhat. Let me show you this little graph here. If you see the fall championships and the fall sports, the winter sports and the spring championships, if you notice, it all starts with football. Okay, So when football happens, all the other sports are able to happen. So right now you do have soccer being played, volleyball being played, water polo being played, field hockey being played, cross country being played. And that is wonderful news for the winter sports that are coming, which is basketball and some of the other sports that you see on the list. And then come the spring sports, which is a lot of tennis and golf. So it was so important for this to happen. And this is just such a great opportunity for many of you that are listening who are now going to be able to reap these benefits. So for a lot of the people that watch these webinars aren't aware of when the seasons are. So this gives you a little bit of an idea, but tells you how important it was for football to start, and that has led to the other sports actually competing and the opportunities still available. So again, we're talking right now, what is the impact of college sports in American universities? I've showed you financially what that means. Now you multiply those numbers that I showed you by hundreds and hundreds of schools. It is an incredible financial impact that college sports brings. And obviously this is what creates college scholarships. But look at the number of athletes. The number of athletes in the NCAA is almost 500,000 athletes are competing in the NCAA. And then you've got the NAIA and the junior colleges. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of that today, into the differences in the divisions. We just don't have time for that. But the point that I'm trying to make is over 500,000 student athletes are impacted by the fact that sports has begun, colleges are in session, football is happening, the other sports are happening, and that continues to open the door and the opportunity for every single person listening to this webinar today. So let's take this a little bit further. Here's just some examples of some news articles that we found online, okay? Why am I showing these to you? I'm showing these to you because I want you to get the visual. Right now, and obviously in the world, it's very difficult to open the news and find positive information. And sometimes that news leads you to myths and fear and just not acting and not taking opportunities because you just don't really know what's happening. And so I want to have clarity with you today that it's October. These pictures were back late in September. And you've already got golf teams that are scheduling to play. You've got the women's soccer programs that are already, playing some of their first games. You've got cross country teams that are already having meets. You've got men's soccer teams and hockey teams. Again, fall and winter sports that are already starting, practicing, or we're starting in practice and are competing. So this is great news for every single person listening to this webinar. It's great news for every international student athlete out there. And it's great news for the 500,000 student athletes that basically their lives and their college careers are based on all these things that are happening. So this is great. This is wonderful news. Throughout the webinar, I'm just going to very briefly just put some pictures and faces on the screen. Just some examples of some student athletes from the UK that have recently signed, whether it been in 2019 or 2020, to come to the United States to study. So Ronan is, he's going to Hofstra University, and he's a tennis player and good tennis player, great university, Hofstra University. So congratulations to him. Certainly, I am obviously putting people that are in the College Prospects of America program and who are some of our most recent recruits. Let's keep going here. Okay, so now I've showed you, look where I'm taking you today. I've shown you the impact of sports, the financial impact of sports in universities in America. Then I've shown you how many student athletes are impacted through that, which you can see that there's a great financial impact in sports, and there's a great number of students that are impacted and impact those universities. But let's talk about you. Let's talk about international students, what in general, okay? In general, let's talk about in general international students and what is the impact of that? Why is it so important for America to not only open sports, have sports, but cater to international students and international students' athletes? Well, here's some numbers. I mean, you can read it on the screen, but over 1 million international students were reported last year in the United States. Over 1 million. Okay, that's a lot of international students from all over the world. That's approximately about 5.5% of the entire student population in the United States. So again, that's a big impact. It's not a small number. It's not just a few kids. It's not just, some random kid from from Australia that comes to the United States. I mean, it is kids from all over the world, whether it be South America or whether it be Europe or whether it be Asia, whether it be Canada. Now, I know some of you are wondering, where do most of them come from? Yes, a lot of them come from certainly Asia and South America, but a lot of them come from Europe as well. Okay, so what is the impact of this? Well, let's multiply those numbers. If you've ever had someone study abroad, what does that cost your family? What do you give to that economy when you study abroad? Well, that's the reality that every year international students contribute huge. And when I give you the number, it's going to blow you away. It's going to blow you away. Because people don't realize how important, how valuable you are if you're listening to this and you're from another country. Certainly if you're from the UK, how important it is to the US economy that you really come here, or that any international student comes here. So when you come, I mean, you're impacting tourism, you're impacting airlines, you're impacting movie theaters, you're impacting restaurants, shops, travel, hotels, the universities themselves. You're impacting Starbucks. I mean, you're impacting anyone that, when you come here in your life, but not only you, maybe your parents come visit. Maybe you have a friend that decides to come to the United States because you came to America. Maybe when your parents come, you go to Disney or you go visit New York. I mean, there is a significant amount of money that is brought in by international students. How much? Let's give you a little bit of statistics. So this is, forget about the reason I'm putting this. Okay, some of you are going to look at this and say, "Oh, I remember this story." Well, this was back in July. I want you to ignore the article here, or because this is a moot point nowadays. The reason that I put this up is because one of the reasons that the Trump administration basically changed its mind to deport students in the United States that were going to study only virtually. That was what they were talking about. It wasn't that the government was going to deport everyone. I mean, that's a myth. That's fake news, as you would say. But the reality is that there was a thought that if you only studied online, and it had nothing to do with the administration, it simply had to do that the laws of America say that if you study 100% online, you couldn't get a F1 visa. Well, all of that was turned around, and this is why. Because if you look at the bottom, it says, according to the U.S. Commerce Department, international students contributed $45 billion. That's not million. That's billion, and that's a 4 and a 5. That's $45 billion to the country's economy in 2018. So the powers that be, regardless of whether you like them, agree with them or not, decided that $45 billion in an economy that at that point wasn't looking too great was kind of important here in America. So again, the reason I put this out there is because it's really the only news article that I found, and of course the BBC was the one that reported this, of the amount of money that actually comes into America because of people like you, because of because you want to send your son or daughter to this country to study. So huge amount of financial impact because of international student athletes, so much that entire laws and decisions in the highest levels of government are overturned because of that. So what is my point with this? Some of you are asking, Oscar, and here it is. Before I get there, just Tia Jackson she just recently signed at Morgan State University, and a UK top 10 in track and field. Some of you might know her, but again, another success story from the UK, someone that's coming here 2020, changing their lives, having a great college experience. So this is what I'm trying to get at, that there's a lot of money involved with international students in the United States. There's a lot of money involved with colleges and universities in the United States. There's a lot of international students in the United States. But let's talk about student athletes. I mean, let's focus it a little bit more. What does that mean for you? How valuable are you as a student athlete? Well, let's look at the statistics. I'm sure I've got some tennis players and some soccer players and some golfers in this webinar, but let's look at this. At least it's about the same for men and women, but over 60%, okay, that's more than 1 in 2 people. 60% of the students playing tennis at Division I universities in the United States are from a foreign country. Wow. I mean, who knew that? Who thought that the number was so great? That means 63%. That means that most of the people that you see playing tennis in this country in a university are going to be foreign. Look at golf, 21%, soccer, 34%. There's still huge statistics, 1 out of every 5, 1 out of every 3 kids. I mean, those are important numbers. This is a big deal. Why? Because it makes you realize that the opportunity to come to America is an opportunity that is open, it's available, and people want you here. The universities want you here. What these statistics say is that universities and college coaches want foreigners. They look for foreigners. They cater to foreigners. They need foreigners. They recruit foreigners. So if someone's told you throughout this whole COVID experience, if they've told you, oh, well, that opportunity is, the opportunity in America is kind of dead, schools are dead, there's no opportunities, you need to stop listening to that, because I'm showing you what an important impact you are for sports, how much that impacts the universities in America, how much that impacts the financial the economy in America, and how important you are. So if you have played, if you are looking for that opportunity, the opportunity's there. You simply have to take the action steps to get it. But here's the beauty of all this. What I want you to realize today is that America, they don't, as we say, they don't do you a favor. You're not just lucky if, you're not lucky if you come here, okay? America needs you. America wants you, okay? Your money is more valuable for universities and the economy today than it was before the shutdown. It really, really is. There's actually more opportunities for you today than before. Why? Because a lot of international students did leave throughout this time. Things did shut down. Some schools are operating at lower enrollment. Some schools are hurting financially. They want international students to come back. They need international students to come back. America wants those $45 billion to come back. So your money, your sport, your education today is more valuable to universities than it was before. What that creates is before this webinar, you might have had myths. You might have had myths about coming to America. You might have said, well, I'm telling you today, forget those. Today, there's a greater opportunity for you today than there was before. You just have to go out and find it and stop listening to everything else out there and say, okay, what do I need to do? Because the opportunity is actually greater. And I'm actually capable of maybe even getting a better offer and opportunity at a lower price because I'm more valuable today because of the situation in the world. So, okay, so some of you are saying, great, Oscar, that sounds wonderful. But how much does it cost me to go to school in the United States, in America? What is the typical statistic? And so again, I'm just putting up general information here for you. Your situation may be different. You might pay a lot more than this. You might pay a lot less than this. You might get a full scholarship in America. Your situation is very specific, and that's why I've posted, and I will post up that link again, that URL for you to click, so that we can discuss that your particular situation. But in general, if you look at the screen, most men, and I'm talking about not the number one player in the UK. I'm not talking about the national team kid. I'm not talking about the kid that's played all over the world and is one of the top athletes in the world. I'm talking about the average athlete, the average student athlete from the UK or from internationally in general. I'm not talking about the superstar. I'm simply talking about most student athletes that want to get an education and are good in this sport, have ability, have skill, have played throughout their life, but they're not a superstar. You're probably going to pay anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000 per year, all costs included, to study and play sports in this country. And when I mean all costs included, I'm talking about tuition, I'm talking about housing, I'm talking about food, I'm talking about sports, I'm just talking in general. That's roughly between $7,500 and $10,000 per semester to come to this country. If you're a girl, because there's less women, more opportunities out there, more schools, you will pay a little bit less. You're going to pay anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000 per year. That's between $500 and $7,500 per semester in general. But it's very important. I'm giving you general information. Why? Because I don't want to tell you in this webinar that every kid gets a full scholarship. And I don't want to give you unrealistic expectations. I want to give you expectations that are realistic. And if you land a scholarship that's much greater than this, wonderful, you've won. But for some families out there who know that they're not the number one player in their country, that know that they're not a superstar, and have been told that America is only for the ultra superstars or the ultra rich, I want to show you in numbers and statistics that for most families, this is a real opportunity. Now, these do vary depending on your situation. Obviously, the higher your grades, the higher your SAT, your tests to come to America, and the higher your athletic ability, the less you're going to pay. There are men and women with full scholarships or close to full scholarships in America. That's something obviously that we would be able to discuss with you, just knowing more about you. But I'm giving you general information to clarify that this opportunity is real for most families today. So this is the fact. You do not need a 100% scholarship to study in the United States. This is one of the biggest misconceptions that that people have, is that they think that they need a full scholarship. But I've shown you, but this is just not the reality. Many families in the UK, between traveling and the club team and just the cost of life and education and transportation and just everything that revolves around the life of your son or daughter, if they play golf, if they play tennis, if they play soccer, I mean, it's expensive. It's expensive to belong to a club. So many families already spend the same amount of money in general than that they would if they came to the United States and got an education. Once you add up all your expenses, so if you add up all your expenses, I think you're going to realize that you probably spend a lot more than you think. But an education in the United States can be had for under $20,000 a year, under $15,000 a year. And it becomes a reality when you realize that a lot of you are already spending that much money in life today. Okay, now if you were to go study abroad, it might cost you more than to come to America to study. If you studied at a very prestigious, private, very expensive university somewhere in the world, it would cost you more than to come to America to study. If you're obviously an athlete. So this is very important, because it really, again, opens the door to those that are not just the super rich and those that are not just the super athlete. Let's talk about, here's another example, Ben Davies. I hope I said that correctly. He's McKendree University. He is a golfer, and here you can see a little bit, great golfer, obviously very good golfer. But that's just another example of someone that we've helped who's taken the step and been able to get that opportunity. I do see that in the chat, we have someone that we've been able to help, Owen, in the past, get that opportunity in the United States. So I certainly wish I could have had, wish I should have had him up here. But thank you for Philip for bringing that. And I think we're helping today another one of your family members to get this opportunity. So thank you so much for telling us that in the chat that you were recruited back in the 90s with a scholarship. So Marva Hall has told me all about it. So hopefully one of these days we'll be able to interact a little bit more. But thank you. So your son plays soccer. Certainly. Thank you so much for putting that up in the chat. The reason I'm reading that is because I don't want to say something that you weren't, because it was you were tennis and your son is soccer. So I was a little bit confused there. Sorry. Okay, so let's talk about some of the ifs. Okay, some of the ifs. If you start the process early. Okay, if you start the process early. And so, for example, Philip, I think in your son's case, Owen, I think he's a 2021. No, I think he's a 2022, if I'm not mistaken. So the key is you have to start the process early. This is a process we recommend starting 2 or even 3 years before graduating high school. So if you are looking for the opportunity to come to America in 2022, which I think is the case with Owen, I'm not completely sure if it's 2021 or 2022, it's time to start this process. If you graduated last year, well, you need to take an action right now. You're very late. It's not the end of the world, but we can do some things, but you're very late. If you're a 2021, it's October 2020, you're late. You need to get started immediately. And I'm saying like today, like immediately. Why? And I'm going to show you why, but you have to start this process earlier. The earlier the coaches know about you, the earlier you start the process, the more likely and the better opportunities you're going to have. Okay. This is not something that you need to start once you graduate from high school or at the end of your high school career. You can, but what I'm telling you is that you're going to have better opportunities the earlier you start. Now, why is that? Because coaches, there's two things here. One, coaches need to know that you exist early enough. So for example, let's look at the future signing dates. These are the NCAA signing dates for next year, 2021. Okay, so if you're in, let's pretend that you're enrolling in fall 2021. The very first signing dates for scholarships, what they call a letter of, I forget the name right now, sorry, it'll come to me. But the very first letters of intent will be signed starting November this year. This is less than a month away. This is in just a couple of weeks. So if you are looking for an opportunity in 2020 and you wanted to be one of those student athletes that wanted to have an opportunity to basically sign for a university, get confirmed a scholarship opportunity starting November in the early signing date, guess what? You should have started this process back in 2019. Okay, some of these kids that are going to sign in November started the process in 2018. So why is that? Because the reason is that coaches, when they're recruiting, they're really not recruiting kids at the last minute. Some of them are, and we can help you. But the reality is most coaches want to know who is 2 years, 3 years away from graduation, so that 2 and 3 years away from graduation, so that there's enough time to evaluate you, to watch your video, to talk to your parents, to talk to you, to look at all the other options, to make sure you pass, your test, do the application process, to be admitted. Like, there is a whole process here. And so what happens is coaches, for a long time, they look for prospects. They're in a time where they're simply looking for prospects. Okay. At some point in time, they stop looking for prospects. At that point in time, they have to start making decisions on who they're going to give those scholarships to. So there comes a point in time that coaches say, look, I'm not looking anymore. I'm not looking anymore. I'm ready to make decisions. So they actually stop looking, unless obviously a superstar comes along in the last minute. But most coaches will have some sort of idea who they want to recruit and who they're going to sign 6 months, a year ahead of time, some of them more than that. So the point that I'm trying to make is, if you've already graduated or you're about to graduate, yes, you need to be freaking out a little bit. The opportunity is not over. Contact us immediately. We can certainly help you. We can put everything in the microwave and just make it quicker. But the reality is that there's going to be schools that are no longer looking, and that some opportunities that are no longer available. But if you're a 2022 or even a 2023, it's never too early to start, and it's never too early for coaches to know that you exist. And the earlier you start, the better opportunities you're going to have at the end of the day. So let's continue on with another Ashley Hobbs, golfer, again recruited to the University of Southern Mississippi, Division I school, wonderful golfer, great scores, and just one more student athlete from the UK that we've helped over. Heck, I mean, we've been working with student athletes from the UK for probably over 2, maybe 2 decades, certainly. And these are just one name, very important, Ashley, but there's been hundreds and hundreds upon hundreds of student athletes that have been helped in the past, in over 3 decades. Actually, College Prospects in the UK has probably been around longer than I have been a part of College Prospects America, which is amazing, because I'm one of the longest reigning College Prospects of America people in the world, obviously, as a CEO. But Marva Hall and Roger have done a phenomenal job for over 3 decades, helping and changing the lives of hundreds of families. So again, I'm just putting up a couple names here. Example would be, another example would be like Philip, who was also a CPOA client. And so again, just pointing out a few of them, but we have helped thousands and thousands and thousands of athletes from all over. So even some famous names, like if you're a golfer, like Luke Donald and things like that. But anyway, that's not the point of this webinar. The point of this webinar is to give you the information that you need to make the right decision. So again, look at this graph. Look at the graph in the middle here, the slide. This is what happens for the majority of families that would like to have the opportunity, but don't achieve it because of that slot of the part on the left that says before. This is the reality of most families. They know that America exists. They know that there's an opportunity, that they know that there's scholarships, that they know that they've heard of other stories and cases of families and kids that, students that have succeeded in doing so. But what happens is many fall through the cracks and don't actually succeed in the process of coming to America, and just kind of give up because of what happens on the left side before. Most families, especially today, with all the lack of information, all the myths, everything you hear, I mean, it's just really hard to even know who to believe. So you have too many questions. Some of you want this, but you're navigating without any direction. Some of you are about to graduate and have few or no college opportunities in America. And some of you are navigating, you're going through this process, but you're filled with so many myths and lack of information. And what you're doing is you're going around asking other people, hey, what should I do? Or how should I do this? Or what are you thinking? And all you're getting is more information that may or may not be right from other people. They may or may have myths who may or may not know really what they're doing. So again, what I want you to have from today is that after. I want you to be able to get the answers to all of your doubts and questions. I want you to have peace of mind in the process at all times. I want you to know that there is a way to make America affordable. You just have to know how to negotiate correctly with universities. It's not just about coming to America. The most important thing is coming to America and being able to afford to come to America. So you have to know how to communicate and negotiate and deal and come up and get an offer from a University of America. But besides the financial, it's not just about being to pay to come to America. It's also about getting the right opportunity. So I want you to have real college opportunities and real options for you. What do I mean by that? That the whole point of coming to America is to find the right place for you athletically and academically, where where you and your parents are going to be happy, that you can afford. So it doesn't help you to come to a university that you can afford that's not the right university for you. Or it doesn't do you any good to come to a university that might be the right university academically, but it's not the right university athletically, and vice versa. You have to find the right opportunity for the right price so that you come to America and graduate and get a degree from a prestigious American university. Because at the end of the day, there's two types of people that come to America. There's those that come to America not knowing what they were doing and just kind of ended up here. And many of those don't end up in the right place, or frustrated, and they end up going back home 6 months later because they didn't come to the right place. And there's other families and other student athletes that did have the answers to their questions, did have peace of mind, did have a plan, did do the process right, did start with enough time. They end up in the right place. They have a great experience. They end up here for 4 or more years. Heck, they may end up here for the rest of their lives. But the point is they did things right, and therefore it's a great, great experience for them. Zach Wilson, Villa Maria College, soccer player. Again, just one more example of one more of the thousands of student athletes that from the UK that we've helped. I think he's a 2020 grad, so he's just recently been recruited for Villa Maria College, which is a private small college in the United States. There's so many schools in the United States that are wonderful private and public universities that you've never heard of. Over 2,000 universities here, many, many wonderful schools that you've never heard of. So if you actually start the process, so I'm giving you the information that's saying, okay, this opportunity is here. You can achieve it just like Zach, just like many other people that have achieved it in the past, but you have to start the process. You know, especially today, this is not just going to happen by itself. You have to start the process. Now, the problem that many are having is saying, well, how do I start the process? There's all these restrictions, there's all these rules, there's always this lack of information. What I'm telling you today is that you can start the process from the comfort of your home. Okay, you don't need to come to America to land an opportunity. You don't need to travel. You don't need to visit offices. You don't need to expose yourself. You don't need to do any of that. You don't need to do any of that. We help families sitting at their home. As long as you have internet, you can do this opportunity, which is the beauty of all of this, that I can, get you excited to come to America, but also let you know that you could do this whole thing without ever leaving the house. You simply have to have the right process, and we'll help you do that just through technology. As long as you have internet, you're basically in our office. So what does CPA do for me? we basically do on-demand advice and contact with our expert CPO advisors. We will guide you through the entire process, answer your 1,000 questions, chat with you if we need to, call you on the phone, do a Zoom conference, whatever we need to do to give you peace of mind and answer your questions. That's what we do. Okay. We've been doing this for over 30 years doing this. So we have incredible experience doing it. Marva and Roger in the UK have incredible experience doing this, having helped hundreds of people. And we in the United States that will be also in contact with you, helping you through and guiding you through the process, have incredible experience. But here's the thing, from your home, you will navigate the entire college prospects and discover the right opportunity for you from your home. Okay. We're going to put you in direct contact with college coaches. That's very important. When we do the process, you're going to be in contact directly with college coaches and universities that are interested in recruiting you. We are completely transparent. You are going to see from your house, as long as you have internet, through our apps, what is going on through the entire process. Completely transparent. You're going to know what universities are interested in you. It really is a transparent process. And we are a credible A+ rated company, founded and operated by college athletes like myself. Okay. So here's the big if. What I've told you today is, if you have bargaining power, what does that mean? The more universities that know that you exist, that means more people fighting for you, more people emailing you, more people contacting you, more coaches saying, I want you to come to my school. You actually create demand for, as I showed you at the beginning of this webinar, there's demand for you. What you need is more coaches and more universities wanting you. So the more universities that you know you exist, and the better advice you have, very important. Why the better advice? Because you need to know how to navigate this process. You need to know how to talk to college coaches. You need to know how to do the applications processes. You need to do the things that need to come to America at the right time. And you need to know how to negotiate. The more offers from universities you will receive, okay? The point being is, universities, at the end of the day, guess what? They have limited funds, and they want to attract the best students and the best athletes with paying the least amount of money. Because if they give you $1 less that they can give someone else, that's $1 they saved. This is why you need to have great advice, and you need to have different schools contacting you to get this bargaining power, to know how to get the best price in America. So those are the big ifs. And that's really what we help you do throughout the whole process. Here I've outlined it very quickly. I'm not going to go through all of this. We only have about 9 minutes left, but I'm not going to go through all of this. But very quickly, what are we going to do for you? If you decide, hey, yes, I want you to help us, we're going to, first of all, put together your profile and your video for college coaches to see, evaluate you, and know that you exist. We're going to market your profile directly to college coaches and the recruiting decision makers. Your video, your information, your stats, your picture, who you are, what you want to study, all of that stuff is going to go directly to the college coaches and the decision makers to be in contact with you directly and say, I found out about you through College Prospects. I'm interested in you for the next year. Then we're going to guide you. Once that happens, coaches are going to be contacting you. There's going to be things to do. We're going to complete guiding you step by step in the entire college process, what you need to do. And then at some point, we're going to help you evaluate, define which are your best college options, and help you actually come up with the correct college selection. That's a whole process in itself. You see why this takes time? Because getting the right opportunity takes time. And then eventually we're going to help you find and select and do everything that you need to do to come to this school, to this country successfully. But that's not all we're going to do. We're also going to help you prepare and make sure that you do the right things for the SAT. We're going to help you do what you need to do to apply and be certified by the NCAA. Again, I know I'm saying a lot, but there's just a lot to do. But calm. We're going to help you step by step. What I'm trying to show you here is that there's things to do. And if you simply, the way that I can describe this is this: if you simply allow us to take you step by step, you'll succeed. You don't have to do all this in a day. And a lot of this stuff right now is like way too much. Again, the best way to describe what we do is we're going to take you step by step. And if you simply follow the process, you will succeed. But here's the wonderful thing. We're here for you throughout your entire college career. So what we do is it's a lifetime membership in a way. At the end of the day, once you come to the United States and you're here studying, anything we can help you with, we're going to help you with. You're our client. So you can call our 1-800 number. Once you're here, you can chat with us. You can do whatever you need to do. Maybe you need to transfer to another university. Maybe you had a situation at your school. Maybe you have a question about your scholarship. Whatever that is, we're here to help you throughout your entire career. Just like we will for Daisy Anderson, who not too long ago was recruited by the University of Pittsburgh, one of the top swimmers in the UK. Just another example of another student athlete that we have helped. So we come to this point. What I've shown you today is that the opportunity is there. It's there. If you don't listen to a lot of the stuff that's been going on and the reality of what's going on in America, the opportunity is there for those who take action. So this is a two-door moment. There's people out there that are saying, you know, this is great, this is wonderful, thank you for the information, but we have to think about everything. Everything has to be aligned and perfect. And, you know, at some point, we're going to make the decision of whether, you know, everything is perfectly aligned for us to go Well, if the world's shown us anything this year, is that really is a fantasy. Okay. That really is a fantasy. That there's a lot of people out there that have gotten incredible opportunities because of everything that's happened in this year, because they were ready when those opportunities came. And that's what happens with colleges in America as well. It's about starting the process to be ready when that opportunity comes. So I got to tell you a statistic. I've been with CPOA over 2 decades, and my experience has been, especially with international students, that families that think about it way too long, that think about starting the process way too long, actually never start the process. That's literally less than 10% start the process if they think too much. Why? Because the more you think about this, the more myths you're going to have, the more lack of information you're going to have. You're going to have too many opinions. If you go ask mom, dad, your coach, your friends, your team members, your counselor, too many opinions. And there's always that factor of fear or what's going to happen. And so when you don't act, what you do is you freeze. So too many families say, I'm going to think about it. Well, guess what? Thinking about it is actually not a decision. You're actually choosing not to take action. I would actually rather you say, you know, Oscar, this is great information, but we as a family, this is not for us. We're not going to take any. We're deciding that we're going to stay in the UK to study, or we're going to go to Spain, or we're going to go to Australia, or we're going to go to Asia. You're making a certain decision. And there's other families you're going to say, you know what? We would like to make a step towards America, but you're making a decision. Those families that don't make a decision and just sit on the opportunity, guess what? They lose a once in a lifetime opportunity, and they lose the opportunity for scholarships, because when they actually want to get started, it might be too late. So if you think that today this is the right opportunity for you, you don't have to know or have all the answers. You don't. You do not need to have all the answers today. You only need to decide if you want the opportunity tomorrow. Let me repeat that. There is a lot of information that you do not know right now. There's things that you're going to have to do in the process that you're not aware right now. There's factors that I'm sure that you're trying to evaluate. You do not need to have all the answers today. That is the biggest mistake that families make when they come to America. You know who comes to America? In my experience, decade, the family says, you know what? I don't really have all the answers, but I'm making a decision so that I can have the opportunity tomorrow. What does that mean? That the decision to come to America is not a decision that you have to make today. That's a decision that you're going to make once the university offers you a scholarship and basically asks you to sign, and you have an airline ticket in your hand, and you're coming to America and you're saying goodbye to mom and dad, that's when you're going to make the decision. Right now, the decision is, do I want to have that opportunity? Do I want to have that opportunity? Because if you simply take the first step, everything, like I said, you're going to go step by step. And then one day you're going to have that opportunity. Now, do you have to take that opportunity? No, you could have the opportunity and still stay in the UK. You could have that opportunity and still go to Spain. But the point is that you're going to have the opportunity because you took some sort of action. And 100% of our clients have some sort of opportunity. Some of them decide to stay in their country, but they had the opportunity. And they don't spend the rest of their life saying, well, I never tried and I never had the opportunity, so therefore I had to do this. So again, I'm asking you today, if you think that you want to have the opportunity to come to the United States, to America, to play, to study, to get a scholarship, you need to take action so that you do the process and have the opportunity tomorrow. And I'm just going to leave you with this. I'm one of those kids. Okay, I'm one of those kids that took that opportunity. I actually was born in the country of Mexico. I'm an international. And so I know what I'm talking about. I know the life that can be lived and the opportunities that can be had and the assets and the benefits of coming and studying in this country. Everything that has really, every opportunity that I've ever had has been because I studied. I played tennis at the University of Louisiana. There's the picture on the right. You can see the flowing, beautiful hair that I had back then. But I played college tennis. And because of that, I've had some wonderful opportunities. Not only am I the president and CEO of the leader in the world that helps students come to this country. I am the president and CEO of College Prospects of America. But that's also led to other opportunities where I'm invited to speak in front of big conventions and big opportunities because I really, have not only the skills and just the knowledge and the culture and the ability, thanks to the education that I received in the United States. And I'm giving you some more pictures of my personal life so that you can know me a little bit more. This is my daughter, 15 months old. This is here. We are back. Okay, I think we're back here, and I just don't know what really just happened there. But anyway, we were at the end of the webinar anyway. I was actually about to end it anyway. The point being is there's my family, there's my daughter, and I just want you to see that we are real. This opportunity has been something that I'm even a living example of what it is. And that if it hadn't been for me studying America, just the life that I live today would have simply never happened. And I just want everyone to see that. So I will simply end you with, I'm going to put up a link now. I'm going to put up a link, and some of you are wondering, Oscar, what does this cost? And so just so there's clarity, that is what we charge in the UK. And you should be aware that this is what actually we are charging in the UK is actually hundreds and hundreds of dollars less than we are charging in other parts of the world. In some parts of the world, we're charging as much as $5,000. But we have held so many athletes in the UK over 3 decades that thanks to Marva and Roger, we've actually kept our prices probably the lowest they are in just about anywhere in the world. So this is a great opportunity if you are from the UK, because we, if you were from I don't want to say it, but you would be paying a lot more for our program. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a link right here. And I want you to, if you have questions about your particular case, or if you would like us to contact you directly, I'm going to put up I put up a link in the chat. And that link simply is a link that says, Oscar, College Prospects of America, I listened today. I have questions. I have questions about my son or daughter. There's some things that I need clarity on. There's things that I need to ask before I make any sort of decision. Just fill that out. All you're saying is you're taking a step to take one more step in the process. You're not committing that you are going to start the process. We want to speak to you. We want to talk to you. We want to make sure that you qualify for the program. We want to make sure that the program is right for you. And if it's right for you, you will have the opportunity to make that decision. What we're doing here is by filling out that form, you're simply saying, yes, I would like to know more. Please reach out to me. And therefore, Marva or Roger or someone in their team will reach out to you. Just do the link now. That link will continue to be available, but if you would like to, I suggest that you fill out the link now. There obviously is ways to reach out to us in the future, but this is for if you would like for us to reach out to you shortly. And the other thing that I would add is that some of you are ready to make that decision. And if you're ready to make that decision, certainly please fill out that link so that Roger, Marva, or the CPO UK team can reach out to you and get you started with this process. So anyway, I went 5 minutes too long because of the technical glitch that we had. Welcome to technology. Welcome to the Zoom world. There's certainly things we can't control, despite having all these internets and all these cables in front of me right here, right now. So anyway, I hope that you had a great webinar, that you learned something, that this was a valuable time for you, and that we will shortly see you as one of our next recruits for the College Prospects of America program, studying in the United States, competing, and having an awesome, awesome life. Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.